Oh, I'm sorry.
It's basically an 11.5 minute monologue.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Is it filtered back yet?
Tell me when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Go.
Way back when I was just a little bitty boy, living in a box under the stairs in the corner of the basement of a house half a block down the street from Jerry's bait shop. You know the place. Well, back then, everything was going just great and life was just peachy. Except for the undeniable fact that every single morning my mother would make me a big bowl of sauerkraut for breakfast. A big bowl of sauerkraut! Every single morning. It was driving me crazy. So one day I say to her, hey Mom, what's with all the sauerkraut? And my dear sweet mother, she just looked at me like a cow looks at an oncoming train. She leaned down right next to me and she said, "It's good for you!" So she tied me to the wall and she stuck a funnel in my mouth and she force-fed me nothing but sauerkraut till I was 26 and a half years old. And that day I swore that someday I would escape from that basement and I would travel to a magical faraway land where the sun is always shining and the air smells like warm root beer and the towels are oh so fluffy. And the Shriners and the lepers play the ukuleles all day long and anyone on the street would gladly shave your back for a nickel. Waka waka doo doo, yeah. Well, let me tell you, it wasn't long at all before my dream came true. Because the very next day, a local radio station had a contest to see who could correctly guess the number of molecules in Leonard Nimoy's butt. I was off by 3, but I still won the grand prize. A first-class one-way ticket to Albuquerque. Albuquerque. Well, I'd never been on a real airplane before, and let me tell you, it was really great. Except I had to sit next to 2 large Albanian women with excruciatingly severe body odor, and the little kid behind me kept throwing up the whole time, and the waitress ran out of root beer and salted peanuts, and the in-flight movie was Biodome and Pauly Shore. Oh yeah, and 3 of the engines burned out, and we went into a tailspin, and we crashed into a hillside, and we burst into a fireball, and everybody died. Except for me. You know why? Because I had my tray table up, and my seat back in the full upright position. Had my tray table up, and my seat back in the full upright position. While I crawled from that wreckage, I was dragging along my leather suitcase and my garment bag and my tenor saxophone and my 12-pound bowling ball and my lucky autographed glow-in-the-dark snorkel. I crawled for 3 straight days until I finally make it to the world-famous Albuquerque Holiday Inn. So I checked in, and I turned down the AC, and I turned on the Spectrovision, and I was just about to eat that little chocolate mint that I love so very, very much, when suddenly there's a knock at the door. I said, "Who is it?" No answer. I said, "Who is it?" No answer. "Who is it?" He's not saying anything. So I walked over to the door and I opened it up, and just as I suspected, it's some big fat hermaphrodite with a flock of seagulls haircut and only one nostril. Man, I hate it when I'm right. So he burst into my room and he grabbed my snorkel and I'm like, "Hey, you can't take that. That snorkel's been just like a snorkel to me." And he says, "Tough." And I'm like, "Give it." And he's like, "Make me." Okay. So I grabbed his leg and he grabbed my esophagus and I bit off his ears and he removed my appendix. And somehow in the middle of it all, the phone got knocked off the hook. And about 20 seconds later, I heard a familiar voice. It said, "If you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help, hang up and then dial your operator." Well, to make a long story short, the man got away with my snorkel. But I made a solemn vow that I would not rest. I would not sleep for an instant until the one-nostril man was brought to justice. But first I decided to get some donuts. So I hopped in my car and I drove over to the donut shop and I walked up to the counter and the guy was like, "Yeah, what do you want?" And I said, "You got any glazed donuts?" He said, "No, we're out of glazed donuts." I said, "You got any jelly donuts?" He says, "No, we're out of jelly donuts." I said, "You got any Bavarian cream-filled donuts?" He said, "No, we're out of Bavarian cream-filled donuts." I said, "You got any apple fritters?" He said, "No, we're out of apple fritters." I said, "You got any bear claws?" He said, "Wait a minute, go check." "No, we're out of bear claws." I said, in that case, what do you have?" He said, "All I have right now is this box of 1 dozen starving, crazed weasels." So I said, Okay, I'll take that. So he hands me the box, and I open up the lid, and the weasels jump out and immediately latch onto my face and start biting me all over. Man, they were going nuts. Just about that time, a little ditty ran through my head. It went a little something like this. Ah, get him off me! Get him off me! Get him off me! Ah, get him off me! So I ran out in the street, and I was running around, and my arms were flailing. I was just running and running and running. And as luck would have it, that was exactly the time I met the girl of my dreams. I'll never forget the first thing she said to me. She said, "Hey, you got weasels on your face." That's when I knew it was true love. We were inseparable after that. Oh, we ate together, we bathed together, we even shared the same piece of mint-flavored dental floss. So we got married, and we got us a house, and we had 2 beautiful children, Nathaniel and Superfly. But then one fateful night, as we were sitting in bed, Zelda says to me, "Honey, do you want to join the Columbia Records Club?" And I said, "Whoa, hold on, baby. I'm just not ready for that kind of commitment." So we broke up, and I never saw her again. But that's just the way things go. In Albuquerque.
Albuquerque.
Well, things started looking up for me pretty soon. I finally achieved my lifelong dream. Yeah, that's right. I got a part-time job at the Sizzler. I even made Employee of the Month after I put out that grease fire with my face. Yeah, people were starting to get really jealous of me after that. I was getting a lot of attitude. Like this one time I was sitting on a park bench trying to remove my excess earwax with a golf pencil. And I see this guy Marty trying to carry a sofa up the stairs all by himself. And I said, "Hey, you want me to help you with that?" And he said, "No, I want you to cut off my arms and legs with a chainsaw." So I did. And then he gets all indignant on me and like, "Hey man, what'd you do that for?" And I said, "You told me to." And he said, "I was being sarcastic." Well, that's just great. How was I supposed to know that? I'm not a mind reader, for crying out loud. Besides, now he's got a really cute nickname, Torso Boy. So what's he complaining about? That reminds me of another amusing anecdote. I was just standing on the street corner, and this guy comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, I haven't had a bite in 3 days." Well, I knew what he meant, but just to be funny, I took a big old bite on his jugular vein. And he's just running around and bleeding and screaming and bleeding. And I'm like, "Hey, man, don't you get it?" And he's just bleeding and screaming and running and completely missing the irony of the whole situation. Some people just can't take a joke. Yeah. Where was I? Just kind of lost my train of thought there. Well, I guess it's a roundabout way of saying it, but what I'm really trying to say is I hate sauerkraut. That's all I'm really trying to say here. And by the way, if you ever wake up to find yourself in an existential quandary full of loathing and self-doubt and racked with the pain of your pitiful, meaningless existence, at least you can take some hope in knowing that there's a little place out there called Albuquerque. Albuquerque. A.
L.
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 B.
B.
U.
U.
Kirky. That's it.
Yeah.
Very.
Torso Boy, as you like to be called.
I missed.
Is it over?
That's
That's
okay.
it.
That's
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you missed what?
That's why you got to do the so that the director
Scene.
knows that
Scene.
you. Yeah, exactly.
I did miss
Hey,
one
you
part.
got weasels
That's
on
what
your
it
face.